Welcome to this Chemscape presentation on chemical health hazards. Today we will review why chemicals need to be managed at your workplace and how chemicals can affect your health. You may have taken regulatory training on OSHA or WMIS at your workplace, but this presentation will go a bit deeper to understand how chemicals can affect your health. Chemicals have physical, health, and environmental hazards. For this reason, chemicals need to be handled, stored, and disposed of properly to protect workers and the community. We often pay greater attention to the physical hazards of chemicals, like fire or explosion, because of the devastating consequences if not handled properly. Health hazards often don't get the same attention, but can be just as serious. There is an increasing number of occupational illnesses and fatalities reported across all sectors globally from exposure to chemicals at the workplace. Health effects from chemicals can take many years to develop, as in the case of exposure to asbestos, which can lead to the development of a lung cancer called mesothelioma 30 years later. Extreme caution and professional occupational health guidance is required if you work with any hazardous substance with this GHS pictogram. Health hazards associated with the Starman pictogram include asthma, cancer, genetic defects, reproductive, and organ damage. Occupational health experts use tools and risk assessments to evaluate chemical exposure. The goal is to eliminate or control all exposure to below the occupational exposure limit, OEL. What is an OEL? The maximum acceptable airborne level of a substance that a worker can be exposed to regularly without harm. There are OELs for less than 1,000 chemical substances, but there are over 71,000 chemicals in common use, not including mixtures of these chemicals. The science hasn't kept pace with industry. Many chemicals have not been fully studied for long-term health effects. Chemicals can cause different types of health effects. Immediate health effects occur after skin contact, as in the case of a burn, rash, or irritation. A delayed health effect can be cancer, organ damage, or sensitization, a skin or asthmatic reaction that worsens over time. Different chemicals target different organs. Health effects vary by the exposure route, which can include inhalation, skin contact, ingestion, or skin absorption. Chemicals enter the body by some route to cause any health effect. A chemical entering the body is called an exposure. The most common exposure at the workplace is inhalation, followed by skin contact, skin absorption, and then ingestion. A worker's reaction to chemical exposure depends on several factors: the chemical's toxicity, the dose, amount entering the body, the duration of exposure, and how often exposure occurs. Let's review how to protect yourself. Start by keeping an up-to-date inventory and ensure every product has a safety data sheet or SDS. Use an SDS management system, like SDS binders, for easy access to SDSs and to keep them up to date. Review the SDS for hazard information. Section 2 of the SDS tells you the hazards of a chemical. It's important to be able to answer 5 key questions before using a chemical. This includes: what is the product? What are the hazards? How do I work with it safely? What do I do in an emergency? And where do I find more information? If you work with chemicals, remember to have an annual physical checkup and discuss the occupational exposures of your job. The hierarchy of controls is followed to control exposure. It consists of 5 levels of control, starting at the top as the most effective control method, moving down to the bottom as the least effective control method. Usually, a combination of these controls is the most effective. Final takeaways to reduce your exposure. If a respirator has been recommended, make sure you use it. The respirator should be fit to you and not shared. Change the respirator cartridges regularly as recommended. Clean and store respirators away from the work site. Follow all personal protective equipment requirements for the job. PPE does not eliminate the hazards of the chemical. It can provide a false sense of protection if not used properly. Remember to replace worn or damaged PPE. Remove contaminated work clothes daily. Leave them at the site if possible or in storage. Shower after work and wash work clothes separately from personal clothing. Avoid eating or drinking near chemicals to prevent a common source of ingestion. Wash hands often, especially before eating or smoking. This concludes our presentation. If you have any concerns, contact your health and safety representative.